Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV and welcome back to the Man City Fan TV podcast, and this is episode 8. And today, well, after today's results, this is Sunday, we've got Chris Baker, who is one of our contributors on the channel, a massive City fan. So Chris, how are you, buddy?
I'm all right, thank you. Out Blues.
And also, who we thought we'd invite on tonight is Cal Blundell, who's been on one of the podcasts before. Cal is an Evertonian, and after tonight's result, we're going to be asking him lots of questions. So how are you, Cal?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So getting into the questions for tonight, well, I'm just going to quickly go through what questions are going to happen tonight, and that is the first one. We're going to review Man City's performance yesterday against Newcastle. As we know, it was a 2-2 draw. We're then going to talk about where it's gone wrong this season for Man City. We're going to hand over then to Cal and review today's game, the 2-1 defeat to Everton, and Marco Silva. And is this the end? Or at parts it was looking like it wasn't. We're going to then chat about who needs to go, because this is obviously a City channel, but we're going to chat about who needs to go from Man City in January or the summer, and who we should be looking at bringing in at City. And then finally, as usual, we're going to have the golden question, where each of the guests on today, which is Cal and Chris, will be able to answer or ask a question that we, all of us, can answer to their question. So first off, we're going to talk about yesterday and up at St James's Park. If you saw on our live match watch along that we did yesterday, and Martin was up there at the game and doing loads of vlogs. City, well, 2-2 against Newcastle. So I'm going to hand over to Chris. Chris, what were your thoughts on yesterday's performance?
I thought we were a bit unlucky, to be honest with you. I didn't think we were awful. I think Newcastle played a style of football we were expecting. You're happy to give up possession and defend for their lives. And they did admirably, to be fair to them. I thought we were a bit too predictable again, too slow coming out of transition periods, and maybe lacking a bit of confidence as well, Andy. And whether that's something to do with the defence not being as settled as it should be, I'm not so sure. But I thought, if it wasn't for two really glaring misses from Bernardo and Gabby, we should have had 4 yesterday. And I think, Newcastle didn't create a lot. We're just not clinical. But how many times do we say that?
Well, we've said it, so many occasions. If we look at the lineup for yesterday, prior to the game, I said on the live watch along, I thought when the team news came out, I thought, that is a really strong team. Ederson, Walker, John Stones, Fernandinho, again at centre-back, which might be something we'll talk about. Benjamin Mendy, which I'm sure we'll talk about, was the left-back. Gundogan was playing the 6, the holding role, with Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva ahead of him as captain. Then Riyad Mahrez was given another opportunity out on the right wing, Sterling on the left, and Gabby Jesus. So, Cal, just quickly, what were your initial thoughts if you saw the game? I don't know whether you did or you didn't, or you did watch the game. So, what were your initial thoughts when you saw that lineup and then you saw the way that the game was progressing?
Well, first of all, when I came back from holiday, I did have you losing the game anyway. I said in the predictions 1-0 Newcastle.
What?
But, surprisingly, and you can check, I actually did. I just thought, Newcastle home, never an easy game for anyone to go, no matter how good you are. But I thought that game, another game where City is starting off very, very slow. And I don't know why they're doing it. You're holding too much of the, you're playing very defensive in a weird way in the first 10, 15 minutes of games, and you don't need to. That's where you need to start going at teams and start slowing them down really quickly. But I think Mendy was awful. I thought some of his crosses he was putting in was just shocking. And he was very open, and I think your defence, it's very open and very easy to get past, and it's quite worrying. You look at the Wolves game, how quickly they split you open. Same with Norwich, same with Liverpool, and once again Newcastle just split you open again. And I thought defensively he was poor, but I thought, you said before, Jesus' miss was just not was, again, another poor shot, another poor game, I thought, from Jesus. And I thought there was no fight and no passion in that team from City yesterday. I thought De Bruyne's goal was phenomenal, but there was no passion, no heart. And, I just thought once you scored, you didn't really care. Like, you thought, well, we won the game now, so just let them, doesn't matter. But you paid the price and Newcastle got a goal and took a point away from you, which is going to be even harder race to the Premier League title.
Good, some good comments there. A couple of things I want to pick up for you, Chris, is Carl's just said there that we started the game really slowly. That's something that we have seen over the last, 3-4 games. Can you identify the reason why? And do you think we've started slowly? And what is that reason?
I didn't think we started overly slowly yesterday. At the start of the season, we started off games, really well, and we got early goals. And when we get an early goal, we seem to be, the confidence rises, and we are very difficult to beat if we get the first goal. But yesterday, I totally agree with Carl. I thought Mendy was awful again. A real disappointment. We've waited. This is his third season.
Yeah,
and. He's not played many games for us. When he first came, attacking-wise, he was phenomenal. But defensively, a bit dodgy. I mean, the injury he got against Palace was a really clumsy challenge, But he's a real worry for me, as is our left side of defence, and it has been for a long time. And that's something City have got to address, if not in January, then the summer. And I think Mendy's one of those who, we have to cut our losses with. Mahrez, he had a quiet game yesterday, but certainly in the first half, everything went down our left-hand side. And I don't know if you can throw the whole blame at Mahrez for that. But the problem with Mahrez is when he does get the ball, he's a bit too predictable. And the one time he cut back onto his right foot, he got into a really dangerous position. And he needs to do that more often.
Well, we'll come back to where the problems lie shortly, maybe in another question. But, if we look at the match stats for yesterday, and you tell me, and it does see... I was looking at stats from previous games where we've not played well, we've maybe got a draw or we've got a defeat, and these stats from yesterday almost stack up very similar to the games where we've lost or drawn in the last sort of 18 months. And yesterday, we had 76% possession. 76% possession. They had 6 shots on target. 6 shots compared to our 24. 24! Yeah. They had 3 of them on target and scored 2. We had 9. They had 1 corner. We had 10. They committed 4 fouls. We committed 6. And you look at that and go, 76 possession, 24 shots, 9 of them on target. We scored 2. Yet they have 24% possession. They only have 6 shots, 3 of them on target, and scored 2. So, Cal, what do those figures scream out to you?
Just, I think, lack of finishing. Aguero needs to come back. I think when Aguero comes back from his injury,
but he's not back. That's the thing.
Exactly.
The fact is, he's injured, and we only have one other striker at the moment, and that's Gabby Jesus as an out-and-out striker.
Yeah, true. Something I just want to touch upon. I know this might be a bit off topic, but only take 5 seconds. If that was Sterling that missed them shots, he wouldn't get, in my opinion, as much stick as Jesus got, in my opinion. But I think no one in your past few weeks have been clinical. I don't think you have been on them. You just haven't looked, in my opinion, like a team challenging for top 2. In my opinion, or challenging for the title.
I agree with you, Cal, totally on that. We have dropped our intensity. There's no 2 ways about it. We don't look as scary to face as we were this time last year. Look, a very different team, but I think that is confidence, and I think confidence in football plays a massive part. And I think, same with Everton, I think they're lacking a lot of confidence.
Mm.
Just coming back on that, prior to yesterday's game, you would expect, and I expected City to go there and win. I said in the pre-match sort of preview I did with the Magpie channel that I thought it would be a tough game, but we'd probably score a couple of goals more than them. Newcastle are unbeaten in their past 4 home league games against reigning top-flight champions. That includes us last season as well. And we've scored in 22 league games against Newcastle, which is the longest run in the competition. No Premier League player has scored more goals in competitions this season than Raheem Sterling. 15 goals is level with Raul Jimenez. De Bruyne has been involved in 6 goals in 6 Premier League games against Newcastle, scoring 2 and assisting 4. So, I mean, you know, everything pointed towards yesterday. We should have gone up there. We should have been professional. We should have been on the front foot. And what we should have done is be clinical. And the one word that I keep coming back to is clinical. And it's something that we have not been in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Chris, why have we not been clinical? And let's face it, we're not just talking about Gabby yesterday. We're talking about Sergio as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think this is 3 or 4 games, and I think this is City's weakness. You know, we've won games 8-0, haven't we? We've won 7-0 and we've had 6-0, but we've missed dozens of chances in those games too. You know, we are not clinical in front of goal. And what, you know, I thought Gabby's was so tame yesterday. That's what really bugged me about it. Was it wasn't a strike of a striker. You know, it was really tame. And Bernardo Silva as well. You know, I know he'd only just got on the pitch, but you know, you'd expect him to stick that away. You know, 9 out of 10 times. It is a real weakness, and we are going through a sticky period. And you thought, you know, De Bruyne's goal was absolutely world class. What a strike! And when that went in, you know, I was jumping around, I was shouting, you know, and I thought, is this going to kickstart our season?
Yeah.
And then we gave away a really silly free kick, I thought, by Fernandinho. There was no need for that challenge, and the sort of challenge that he puts in, you know, in the centre of a park, it doesn't really matter so much. But that was a really dangerous place, and then we let Shelvey have all that space for a shot, which was a great goal as well. I don't take it away from the lad, but we've got no luck at the minute, but sometimes you've got to earn your luck, and I don't think we are being as risky as we have in the past, and I think we're massively missing somebody like Sane as well.
I think that's a good point. But if we go back to, you just said a lot there about luck, and you said about you know issues with excuse me, issues with, you know, the goals yesterday. If we go back to the first goal, lovely little bit of play, a little bit of luck bouncing around in the area with David Silva and Raheem Sterling. Lovely little back heel by David Silva, put Raz in, and he finished it with aplomb. I mean, it was just exactly... Yeah, it was a Sergio Aguero type goal. Buried it in the bottom left-hand corner for the keeper. 1-0 up. What were your thoughts on that goal in particular, Cal?
Just typical masterclass from David Silva once again.
Oh, he's superb. Absolutely superb.
It was a wonderful goal, and I think Sterling took it well, but I don't know. It was just a good goal and a good bit of play, and you're having, you know, maybe 2 minutes of that, you know, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of that excitement, and then it goes for a bit. But good goal.
So we go over to Chris then. What about their equaliser? What were your thoughts? I mean, I said I was doing a live watch along, and I was surprised that when I was watching it live, we had 3 players surrounding 3 of their players, and they had a bit of a 1-2. Gundogan, who I always say just runs in treacle. I mean, he's pointless, absolutely pointless in a defensive role. But John Stones let his player run off him. Mendy's marking somebody else. But I was looking at their first equaliser and thinking, where's the rest of the midfield?
I wondered where Kevin had got to, I must admit. But if we'd have scored that goal, I think we'd have said, what a great goal. It was a well-worked...
Oh, great. And no doubt in the finish. I mean, the finish was absolutely class. But if you're inside the area, like Raz was, you'd think, yeah, you should score from there. But, I mean, my concern was, where was everybody else?
Yeah, I agree. It looked like, everyone was somewhere else, wasn't it? On the other side of the pitch. I don't know. It was a woeful goal for us, really, in terms of how we defended it. But I thought all 4 goals yesterday had moments about them that were real class, and it was, a brilliant finish by Willems. Is that how you say his name? I thought
Willems, yeah.
He had a good game, to be fair. Yeah, disappointing for us, certainly because we'd only just gone up and scored ourselves. We needed to try and keep them quiet for 10 minutes. And it, like Carl said, going to St. James's isn't easy. And once the crowd get behind them, it gets even harder. And, as the game went on yesterday, that's what seemed to happen. And I think we sort of shrank back a little bit.
Okay, so we that was 1-1. The game was sort of petering out. And then up steps the Belgian prince. And, wow, Cal, talk me through that goal.
Just one of the goals of the season, or goals of 2019. Just a phenomenal finish from Kevin De Bruyne. He's a masterclass, and people can slate him as much as you want, but like yesterday, I didn't think he had a good game, to be honest. But you just give him that bit of space on the ball, that 5 minutes of confidence, or a bit of confidence with him, and he will, make you pay, and he definitely made Newcastle pay. It was just a beautiful strike. It doesn't matter. You could have had Ederson, Alisson, anyone in goal, anyone, in the way of it. It was going in. It was a beautiful strike, and a beautiful bit of play from City as well.
Well, I think I saw somebody I can't remember, it was on Twitter today. It was somebody, I don't know whether it was Sean Goater or somebody famous, but they posted you could have all 10 of their players in front of the goalkeeper and Jose Mourinho's bus, and that would nobody was stopping that. I mean, it was just an absolutely phenomenal strike, and at that 2-1, I was going mental on the live watch along, and I'm thinking, we're going to get away with 3 points here. We're actually going to walk away and get 3 points and think, we might have just deserved that. But they get the free kick. Chris, you were talking about the tackle. I thought, and I said on the watch along live that we were doing on Man City Fan TV, I said that's a second yellow card. Should really be going off. It wasn't. He was quite kind with that one. Came to the free kick. What the hell was Rodri doing? And why is Phil Foden, and I'm not calling the young kid out here, but why is he ducking his head out of the way of a shot, albeit a brilliant shot from John Joe Shelby that we know he can do that?
I can't answer why Phil did what he did. When the free kick was given, I was like, I thought he's off again, and then, but it was such a daft challenge. I thought there was no need for it, I thought. But
he was forced. He was forced into. I mean, let's face it. It wasn't like a 2-footed challenge, or he was just trying to block him off. But he's still a bit of craftiness, a little bit, whatever.
It was one of those Fernandinho tactical fouls, wasn't it? Yeah. That's what it was. As for Garcia, I don't know if you can blame him wholly. He was the first one. Rodri, sorry, yeah. He was the first one to react to the ball going. So, do you blame him for that? I don't know. He was the first one to react. Do
you ever turn your back on a shot as a defender? He turned his back on the shot.
As a fan, you'd say no, wouldn't you? Definitely. But you don't like to see that happen with players. Do you remember? I don't remember a few seasons ago when Nasri did that against United, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he got absolute pelters for that, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there is that kind of element with some footballers, and I think we've got a couple of them who you think they're not like Vinny Company or players like that who would just stick the face in the way of the ball, wouldn't they? Anything to stop a goal going in.
Well, that's my point, and my point is would you imagine Vinny Company running out to that shot and turning his back to it? It'd be like, I'll throw. We've seen it so many times, and I know that people could probably come back and go, "Oh, there was this one on a shot that he turned his back and blah blah blah." But on the whole, he would have thrown everything he possibly had.
Yeah, so
stopping that shot coming in.
Yeah, so would a Richard Dunn.
Yeah.
You know, those sort of players you want at the heart of your defence, don't you? The ones who don't care if they get a bloody nose from being smacked by the ball. You know, it was disappointing. I'm not. Shelby did really well, but you know, when they were setting up that free kick, I wasn't expecting it to get pulled back. You know, it was in a dangerous position to whip across the box. But when it came out there, you know, to have that much time and space, or to give John Joe Shelby that much time and space, it was a bit daft, really.
To be fair, Chris.
Yeah.
Did you really think that far out with that shot he would have scored from there? Really? I didn't. I must admit.
I think he's one player who's capable. You know, one of the players. Newcastle's more capable player. You know, he'd had a couple of free kicks, and one was way out yesterday that he had to go. He didn't do very well with it, but he has got that audacity to try, you know, long range efforts. You know, and he has scored some really good goals in the past. So I'm not overly surprised.
Well, it's funny because in the edit I did last night for the live match vlog, Martin was chatting to Keg from the Magpie Channel TV, and I just edited in a quick clip where he was chatting to them before the game, and they were talking about Shelby, and Keg was going, "Yeah, no, but I mean, he's just so talented, but he's just a 1 in 5 player. He plays one good game in 5. He's great at shooting, but you only ever see it 1 in 5. And then I put in the edit of the goal and thinking, there you go. Well, that maybe that was the 5th game that he actually did really well in. But anyway, 2-2. Cal, what were your final thoughts over the performance yesterday by Manchester City?
A lot of people in the comments are going to, you know, be angry with this, but I thought it was a mediocre performance, and I thought it weren't a team at all challenging. You didn't look like a team challenging for the Premier League title. I thought the way Newcastle played, the way they came back from one behind, they fought back. They constantly, you know, fought for that, and they were sliding in bad. They did make some stupid tackles, but they wanted that game, and you can see they wanted that result. City were a bit like they would have said. You'd think if you didn't know what football was, you thought it'd be Newcastle challenging for the league and not City. City showed no passion, no heart in that game, no desire, and they showed nothing to me to see that they're going to try and catch Liverpool. And I thought, you know, it was just an awful performance and a very, you know, just a lazy performance from Man City.
Okay, well, that's our first question. What we're going to do is we're going to come back next, and we're going to ask our next question to the guest tonight on Man City Fan TV podcast. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back with question 2, and this question is, where's it gone wrong this season for Manchester City? And I'm going to leave this one to Chris.
Right, okay. Right, well, for a club that is run as well as City these days, yeah, it's incomprehensible to me that we didn't sign a centre-back in the summer. Maybe even, you know, 2 if it's true that Otamendi wanted to leave because of his lack of first-time action. You know, especially if Garcia and Howard Bellis aren't going to be given opportunities, you know, and then this has been compounded by the Laporte injury. Undoubtedly our best and most reliable centre-back. And again, another clumsy challenge that never really needed to be made for his injury. We are more fragile at the back without Laporte, but this is then further compounded by Ferner having to play centre-back. We are not as solid with Ferner missing from his defensive midfield position, and he's our best centre-back at the moment. We could play Stones and Otamendi, but they seem to be our weakest partnership, in my opinion. I think Stones needs a run of games after an injury to get back to his top level, and I believe he's improving. I'm not really a fan of Otamendi, but if he plays, he has to play alongside Ferner at the moment. Rodri is slower than Ferner in every facet of his game. He looks a class player, but he is suited. Is he suited to the Premier League? Or can we expect more from him, once he gets better acquainted with the Pep system? Gundogan, again, is another class player, but he is not a direct replacement for Fernandinho or Rodri. And his transition play is even slower than Rodri's. I think we're really missing Ferner in his natural position. And without him playing there, we are more vulnerable and given up more chances. And by not replacing Vinny, the centre-back, we have taken our eye off the ball. Losing Vinny, the leader, the captain, maybe having a more profound effect. There's been a drop in energy levels. I've heard fans talking of some players not being as fit as they should be. The pace of play is slower. In my opinion, losing Ferner from defensive midfield is the main reason for the pace of play. But some players are not working as hard for the team without the ball. I think standards have dropped a bit, and maybe Pep's expectations of his players are not as good, as much as they used to be. Because in previous seasons, we've seen him hook Sane off for not working hard enough.
Yeah.
But this season, we've never seen anyone getting hooked for the same reasons. And since I mentioned Leroy, his injury has made us less potent up front. His pace and directness are sorely missed. It'd be really hard to replace him if he chooses to leave the club. He's a special player. For me, he's our most exciting player. He has his flaws, but he's dangerous and a nightmare to defend against when he's on his game. And then this season, we've had too many players out of form or not performing to their abilities. Bernardo being a case in point, he works incredibly hard, but since the Twitter nonsense, his confidence seems to be much lower. David Silva has had a good first half yesterday, but faded as the time went on. I think most City fans think it's time for Phil Foden to be given a more prominent role in the team. Ben Mendy has been a disaster. When he came in, like I said earlier, he looked incredible going forward, but not so much in defence. Now he just looks poor all over the pitch. He's sloppy, he's slow, and the injuries seem to have affected his pace. And his concentration and precision are not good enough for top of the Premier League team. Andy, I think Mahrez is too predictable. And I'm not sure if he's really suited to our system. But all around the team, our standards have definitely dropped. Whether we're tired, not on form, not being pushed enough, not having a natural leader, we're not as potent as we have been. And the only players who have been consistently good this season for me have been Ederson, Ferner and Sterling and possibly KDB.
Wow. You've covered everything there, Chris. My Lord. And some very, very good points and some very interesting words that you've come out there, which we might come to when we come to question 4, which is we're going to chat about who needs to go and who we should be looking at bringing in. So, Cal, from an outside looking in as an Evertonian, what are your thoughts on City this season and where it's possibly gone wrong? Look, we know we've got injuries. We know we're missing Laporte. We know we're missing Laporte, who, for me, is world-class defender. We know missing Leroy Sané, who can change games. Is that really enough of an excuse for where things are just not happening at the moment for City? Or do you think maybe it is? I don't know.
They're not problems, they're excuses now. We're in December. They're not problems, they're excuses. I think City needs to just, in January, they should have bought Koulibaly, I think, in the summer. And a lot of people are against that. But
no!
See, I know so many people are against that, but you look at his stats, the only centre-back in the world with better stats than him is Virgil van Dijk. Koulibaly last year was one of the most, and still this season, been one of the best centre-backs. I think Man City are lacking that leader. They're lacking that player who can sort everything out. I think at the back, he's a shambles. I honestly think he's all. Without Laporte is a leader, in my opinion. I think Laporte can lead the defence on and tell them, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. But no one in your defence can do that.
But I'll stop you there for 1 minute, just before you move on to Fernandinho and covering at centre-back. My point is we currently have and this is where we stand at this moment in time. We currently have John Stones, Nicholas Otamendi. We've got Eric Garcia, a young kid. We've got Taylor Harwood-Bellis, a young kid. And we're playing Fernandinho, who I think we're massively missing, back in that energy role in the centre of defensive midfield area. So it's one thing saying we've lost company and we've lost this, that, and the other. We have what we have right now. We have what we have right now. How many times have we seen a consistent centre-back pairing this season?
Once. Well, not once. The first few games of the season when Laporte was in there.
Yeah.
I think it was Laporte and Stones, or Laporte and Otamendi, I think. They played very well together, and I think the problem is John Stones, in my opinion, no offence to him, I think John Stones next to anyone, it's just a tragedy waiting to happen. He's just so rash. And I think him and Fernandinho probably the way. I'd rather have, if I was a City fan, I'd rather have Otamendi and Fernandinho.
See, I'd rather, as a City fan, I'd rather have Stones and Otamendi.
Fernandinho, he brings that calmness and that experience.
Yeah, but he's not a centre-back. And by him playing centre-back, we are missing out massively having Ilkay Gundogan playing as a 6. If the guy runs in treacle, I mean,
that's another problem I was going to go on.
Absolutely useless in a 6 role. And I don't care what City fans say and go, oh, he's great in this role. Garbage, absolute garbage.
He is. I think
he's finished. He brings nothing to Manchester City. Absolutely nothing.
That's the thing. You say he's finished. He didn't even start off well. He's not even an average player. He only looks good because of the players around him. You know, if he was at an Everton, an Arsenal, or Man United, he wouldn't be doing anything. He'd be getting easy. He'd be a flop. You know, he's only so good at City because he's got De Bruyne and David Silva, you know, near him. That's why.
Don't get me wrong. He's a very technically gifted player, and I've said that all along. But you know, at the moment, and this is a question to Chris while we're talking about central defensive midfielders. Why does Pep persist in playing Ilkay Gundogan in that particular role, or alongside Rodri, or alongside David Silva, or what is going on here?
Andy, I don't know. I mean, I only think that he's playing Fernandinho at the back is because he thinks that's where he's going to play him for the next couple of seasons. We've been forced into this position because of a really bad transfer window in the summer, in my opinion. I said in the summer talking to you that it was imperative that we got a centre back, you know, and we went and got Cancelo. Now, I know you've mentioned that in the past about Cancelo, and you know, couldn't see the reasoning behind it. I can see the reasoning behind it, you know, if Danilo was insistent he was leaving, but not getting somebody to replace Vinny as a centre-back, you're not going to replace him as a leader, was really daft, you know. It was a really silly mistake. And then for Laporte to get injured is, you know, just compounded it all, you know, Stones had didn't play much at the start of this season, now the end of last season. He's one of those players who gets better the more he has a run of games. Yeah. But I don't think he's a natural leader. I think, you know, playing alongside Laporte or a Vinny Company, he slots in lovely, and those sort, you know, absolutely no issues with him. But you couldn't trust him to play alongside a Garcia or Howard-Bellis. You know, he's just not that kind of guy. You know, and I think we should go back to playing Fernandinho, right, and go and try Stones and Otamendi again. I agree with you. I think that's the way to go. Or do we give Rodri a chance at the back? You know, my only concerns with Rodri is, you know, he's another one who doesn't look that quick, you know.
Well, I mean, it's one of those discussions that we, City fans, I'm sure people listening to this podcast will go, well, what are you talking about? My thoughts on it are, we bought Rodri to replace Fernandinho in the future. Yeah. Suddenly, we've got Fernandinho playing as a centre-back. We've got Rodri now dropping into a centre-back role on occasions. And it's like, hold on a minute here. This surely could not have been the plan. And I know, and it doesn't matter because Laporte's out and injured. Surely we we can't possibly, as a board, think, and as a manager and as a team, surely think, well, hold on a minute, we've lost Laporte. Well, hold on a minute, we had Stones and Otamendi. Both of them have hardly played or been rotated. We've got Eric Garcia. We've got this. We've got the other. Now suddenly we're dropping a £64 million player into a centre-back role that was bought solely to replace at the end of the season and be introduced this season as a CDM into the centre-back role. Because what now? Suddenly we don't trust Stones and Otamendi, who 2 years ago was in the Premier League Player, Team of the Year, and I just find it absolutely baffling.
Yeah, but on that, Andy, how many times has David Silva and Sergio Aguero been in the Premier League Team of the Year? It's not. It doesn't.
Otamendi was superb. He was superb that season. Absolutely superb.
I think he had his best season for us.
He was superb. And you know what? And this is my personal opinion, I think Otamendi gets a rough ride because of a few mistakes he's made in Champions League games. I think Otamendi is pretty solid, good on the ball, good in the air. I mean, that's only my opinion anyway. Yeah. I think he gets a hard ride from City fans, or a section of City fans.
I'm probably one of them, Andy.
No, I mean, it's all about opinions, Chris. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Yeah. But Chris, Cal, what's your thoughts? Where do you think it's gone wrong at City this season? We know we've got Sane out.
Yeah.
And look, if we had Sane in, if we had Laporte in, we know we would be a better team. But I think there's something more. I think there's something more than just the fact of Laporte's out and Sane's out. I think this is on the back of 2 Premier League wins. We know winning 3 is emotionally draining. It's very difficult to get up for 3. I think only United have done it in the Premier League era. So I'm willing to forgive because I know how difficult it is. From what all the players and things said, it is so difficult to do. But I don't believe it's just solely down to Laporte's injury and Sane. I think there's much more to it.
I think Pep didn't go out in the transfer window and buy the players that he did need. I don't think he's needed.
We're going to come to the players, but I'm talking about what's gone wrong this season. Where has it gone wrong?
It's just hard to say because, it's just not gone right. VAR certainly, been a big problem in a certain few games. Lack of passion. That's just what I say. Lack of passion, lack of desire. To go out there and get the wins. I think he's a very slow. I think he's tired. I think that's the thing. Your players are very, very tired because you've had to play 2 years. Well, not 2, but a full year last year and the start of this season of just on your best and on the thing. You're probably just tired and. You can't drop. Now that you've got yourself in the situation, you can't drop players because of how tiring it is. And because Liverpool are so far away, you've got to be on your best, and that's the problem. Your players are exhausted, and you can tell in games.
Okay, so that is the end of question 2, where it's gone wrong for this season.
Andy, can I just add something else onto that?
Go on, then.
Do you think we even practice set plays? Because how many corners do you say we have yesterday? 9.
I think I said on my live vlog it was corner 265 or something like that. I mean, it seemed like we had a corner every 25 seconds yesterday.
It's not just it's free kicks and corners, right? We don't look threatening at all. Right?
I said on the live vlog yesterday, and this is in all honesty, I read something on Twitter the day before, and I think somebody had posted somewhere on some account that we'd had 111 corners or something like that, and correct me if I'm wrong with the figure, prior to yesterday's game, and that was the highest in the Premier League, and we scored 1 goal.
It doesn't feel like we take any, care over them. Look at Liverpool yesterday. They win 2-0, 2 great balls in by Terence Trent D'Arby. And Van Dijk gets and Van Dijk gets on the end of both of them.
Well, you tell me, Chris. Here's a question. It's a good point you've raised here. You tell me the players over the last 4 seasons who are the ones who have scored headers from corners.
Vinny.
Vinny, he's not here anymore.
Laporte, I think, had a couple. Stones,
He's injured. He's injured.
Stones, maybe he's got a 1 or 2. But apart from that, you know,
who's the other one? Who's the other player? Who's the other player who didn't play yesterday who scored a number of headers from corners?
Go on, I can't think. Sergio,
Nicholas,
Otamendi, yeah, and that's the thing. You know, a centre back does give you that threat. I mean, he missed that one against Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah. But we have got Fernandinho. Who, when was the last time you ever saw Fernandinho score a header from a corner? John Stones, but we do miss at those set pieces. If we're topping the table in corners, and we're having Fernandinho as the one who's coming in for a header, which is not his thing, we know that, and we've got John Stones possibly who scored a couple of goals over the last 3 years. It was always Vinny and Otamendi at corners. Now Otamendi's hardly getting a game. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Pep must have an issue with Otamendi. You know.
Well, there must be something. There must be something which we'll talk about when we come to question 4. But anyway, that's the end of question 2. We're going to come back with question 3 in a minute. Okay, so we are back with question 3, and that is obviously today, Everton got beat 2-1. Cal, you're the Evertonian. Is Marco Silva gone after today's performance, which I thought for most of the game, Everton did really well, but it's over to you, this question, buddy.
You know, I think Chris said this before. I think you did, Chris. You said, is it worth sacking him now and then bringing a new manager in for the derby on Wednesday? That's a tough game. It's a very tough game. I do think, you know, his time's done at Everton. He's just not a good man. He's just not a top 10 manager or a top 7 manager. He's not a good manager. And I think today, you know, the lineup was Pickford. Pickford, just, I don't understand, you know, what has he got? You know, he has to get dropped. And that's the thing. He'll go, oh, really, Pickford?
You talk about Pickford should be dropped.
Yeah, because he's not a
you're talking about the England goalkeeper should be dropped. I don't rate Pickford. I've always said to you all the time on the blog. Yeah. I don't think Pickford's a good keeper, but you as an Evertonian are saying that Pickford should be dropped.
You know, we've got. I know Jonas Larsel. Maybe he's not ready for the game at the derby, but why aren't we giving him a few games? You know what I mean? Even in cup games, we don't use Pickford. It's like, what's the point of bringing in a player, paying his wages, and not giving him games? It's just pointless. And, you know, Pickford, the last few games, like today, he slapped the ball in the net, the first goal. Maybe you couldn't have done it for it, but just slapping it in is just stupid. And, you know, his kicks are terrible. He can't kick a ball to save his life.
I've always thought Pickford's kicking, when people have said, oh, yeah, he's decent with his feet, I've always thought, he's not. He's garbage.
He is garbage. And I think the defence today was 5 at the back, which absolutely blew me away before the game. People said it was 3, but it was 5. Sidibe, World Cup winner, played phenomenal today again. He's only had one bad game, that was the Norwich game, but it was just, that was a whole team performance. Sidibe was kind of today. It's not Sidibe, sorry. Yerry Mina was today. Who, you know, Andy, I've praised a lot. Yerry Mina. He showed no passion today. I thought the defence was it was average. I thought the midfield was very good. I thought Tom Davies played very well. Sigurdsson was, again, invisible. Not done anything all season. He should have been invisible. I thought Tom Davies was good until like the last 5 minutes. I thought Richarlison, once again, just blew us away. He was phenomenal again.
Great header.
He gets better. He gets better. You know, I think that's 6th or his 5th now in all competitions. So he's just getting better. You know, Calvert-Lewin today, in my opinion, caused a lot of problems. Clinically was poor, but, you know, caused a lot of problems. Iwobi was good, you know, caused a lot of problems, but A big problem that I just want to, state on, and I know maybe going through the starting 11 was pointless there, but a big problem with this team I've just said is why the hell is, players like Sigurdsson captain? He's not had a good game for 4 or 5 games, so why is he the captain? Why isn't Tom Davies the captain? Why isn't, Lucas Digne the captain? Why isn't Yerry Mina the captain? Why is a player that's consistently been awful and shows no heart, no passion captain?
Well, if you look at the table and we go from bottom up, you're currently in 17th. You're flirting with that bottom 3. If you go for Watford and you go for their last 5 games, which I did normally do on the Premier League predictions videos, they've got a draw, a loss, a win, a loss, and a loss. So that's 3 losses, a win, and a draw. If you look at Norwich in 19th, 1 place ahead, 3 losses, a win, and a draw. If you look at Southampton, 3 losses, a draw, and a win. If you look at Everton, a loss, a draw, a win, and 2 losses. So you're all, as from you in 17th down to 20th, you're all exactly the same. You're all showing the same type of form, with the exception now of Brighton after losing, where they've got 2 wins and 3 losses, which is on a bad run. But you're in 17th place in 14 points. Southampton are on 12 in 18th, and then you've got 11 with Norwich, and then a massive drop to Watford at the bottom. I mean, you are only 1 win would take you. If you were to win the next and everybody else lost, you'd be up to 12. But
which isn't happening.
Which that's not going to happen with everyone else. So I'm going to ask you a quick question. Marco Silva, will he be gone tonight? Will he be gone tomorrow? Should he stay for the Liverpool game? And if he does stay for the Liverpool game and you get a draw or a win against Liverpool, should he stay?
Even if he wins 99-0, he should get sacked.
Keep him! Keep him! Keep
him!
No
matter what he does, he should be gone. He's just not a good manager. And I think, when you draw him 1-1, why is he bringing on a defensive midfielder? I mean, he's clueless. He's completely clueless. And we've got one of the youngest players, people have been calling him the next, Del Piero, the next Vieri, all these big, Italian players. So why the hell is he not using them in games? Why the hell is he constantly sat on the bench? I don't know what he's done to Marco Silva. He might have shat in Marco Silva spaghetti or something. I don't know. Or pissed in his cereal. I don't know. But he needs to be starting. Maybe this is going a bit off topic, but if this side doesn't pick up, because, we're not winning a game in December. We'll lose to Burnley and we'll lose to Newcastle. They're our 2 easiest games, and we'll lose to them both. Because we're going to lose pretty much every game in December. We're going to get absolutely hammered on New Year's Day by Man City, which is going to be amazing to see. And then, we're going to be bottom 3 by New Year's. Do you really think them cunts in our starting 11 can handle trying to stay up? Do you really think they can with no passion, no desire? No. I honestly think if we do not sort our shit out, we will go down this year, which is crazy to think. With the 462 million spent in the last few years, we will go down.
That was going to be my next question. After so much money being spent, we get money thrown at us. You buy anybody, and all it comes down to is money and things like that. But anyway, Chris.
No wait, it's like listening.
Question for you.
Go on, it's like listening to us 20 years ago.
It is. My question to you was, does this sound familiar? And do you think Marco Silva will be in the job by Christmas?
He looked like a dead man walking today. I watched the game because I knew Cal was coming on. I thought I'd make a break from watching United. So, and I thought
they played well.
I did. I thought they were really unlucky, and they should have gone 2-0 up. Richarlison had that header when there was like 3 of them in the centre of the box. Who any one of them could have scored. And at that moment in the game, I thought, they're going to beat Leicester, and Leicester aren't an easy team to go and play at, and their confidence is sky high. I thought they played really well, and I thought Moise Kean, that snapshot that he had, I thought that was in. When it was 1-1. It's just the look. It's sometimes, when you looks down, and that seems to be with Everton. I've watched 3 Everton games this season. I watched them against us, and I thought they played really well. I watched them today and I thought they were all right. And I watched them beat West Ham and I thought they were excellent against West Ham. So I can't understand, because I've not seen the other games, why they're in 17th position. They're far too good for me to be there. But there's been plenty of clubs who have gone down who've been far too good to go down. And again, mate, that was us at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, listen, that's question 3, and that was all about Everton. You've heard Cal there giving his very passionate thoughts about that, and Chris giving his opinions as well. But what we're going to do next is we'll be back for question 4, and that is talking about who needs to go at Man City and who we should be looking for. Okay, we're back for question 4, and this is a chat about who needs to go and who we should be looking at bringing in and when at Manchester City. So I'm going to go over to Chris. Chris, I'm going to keep this really quick. Yeah. You've got literally 2 minutes, an impassioned plea. If cheeky Ferran and Pep Guardiola were listening to this, which they won't be, but if they were... who needs to go? Let's forget January, because we know January is such a difficult window to buy and sell. And let's say we get to next summer, Pep has committed himself to be here for the final year. Let's forget about whether he'll sign an extended contract. He's going to say, look, I'm going to be here till my contract expires. We get to the summer. Who needs to go out of this squad right now, and who or where do you think we need to replace?
Right, okay. Well, I think if Sane wants to go, then we've got to let him go. We should get a fair price for him as well, which might, make it possible to buy a decent player. I don't know how much of this extra money we've just been given will go towards players.
Yeah, very little.
But it might be that we need to, if we want to go and buy a Kylian Mbappe, who I think most City fans would absolutely love at the club, and would be the perfect replacement for Sergio. He'd be my number one. But
so let's imagine, and I do think I think in the summer, not January. Yeah. I think in the summer there will be a lot of money available. I think there'll be lots of money. If we wanted to buy a superstar, like you just mentioned, let's say Mbappe. But if we were to bring in Mbappe, that would mean we'd have Mbappe on massive wages. Yeah. And we're talking astronomical fees compared to what Kevin De Bruyne, who I think is still our current highest paid player on 325, you would get, you'd be looking at £500,000-600,000 a week to get Mbappe in. So let's imagine we did get Mbappe in. We still got then Sergio with another year on his contract and Gabby Jesus. Are we going to have all 3 of them, or will one of them go?
Well, how many strikers do we have under Keegan? He always wanted 6, didn't he? And, I think it's really, I don't like to say this, but I don't think Gabby's going to fill Sergio's boots. I think he will move on, whether that's in the summer or... I just don't see it. I don't see him being the man.
If we were to sell Gabby in the summer, hypothetically, how much do you honestly believe we will get for Gabby Jesus in the summer next year?
40 mil, something like that.
What?
Yeah.
What? 40 million quid?
Yeah.
We just bought Cancelo for 60 million quid, and he's a bag of shite.
Yeah, well, there's the Man City tax, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get much more than that for him. I mean, what's he done to deserve to command the notice?
I think we'd get 80 million for him.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you think? You think he's as good as Harry Maguire?
He's left wing for Brazil. That counts for a lot.
Well, do you know what? I wouldn't mind to see him playing down the left wing.
Yeah, me too.
And that might be a replacement, if Sane does go,
maybe.
Out there.
But moving on.
I'd let Mahrez go, and I would definitely let Mendy go.
Why would you let Mahrez go? What's your thoughts on that? Because I'm only asking that because if I don't ask you, I'm gonna get invaded by the Mahrez fanboys and go, oh, another racist, blah blah blah. Well, I mean, I've taught you know my thoughts on Mahrez. I just don't think he's played in the right position for City, and I just don't think when he's even given an opportunity on the right wing, he could do far more. But he just doesn't do it for me.
We play a very different game to how Leicester played when he was, on top form there. And I think that's what it is. I don't think he suits our style of play. It's not that he's not a good player. It's, again, the same as Gundogan as well. I just don't think they fit into our team,
So how much will we get for Mahrez in the summer?
Well, how old is he now? He's about 30, isn't he?
He's 28.
28.
He'll be 29 by the summer.
So, we might get 50 million for him.
So we're up to 90 million, right? Well, I'm just jotting down the transfer kitty here.
Yeah,
so we've got 40 million for Gabby. Yeah. We've got 50 million for Mahrez. So Mahrez is got 120. You reckon, even though he's got 18 months left on his contract and he's injured?
He's world class, mate.
120. You really think we get 120 quid for him?
Well, that's what we should expect for him.
No. How much do you honestly think we'd get for him?
80.
All right, okay. So we've got 80, 130. We've got 170 million so far for 3 players. Right. Anyone else?
Mendy.
How much are we getting for Mendy?
Couple of buttons.
Maybe a Big Mac.
Maybe a Big Mac. Yeah, maybe he's had too many of them.
Yeah, supersized.
Supersized Big Mac. No, I mean, in all seriousness, no. Mendy, will he stay in the summer, or do we just cut our losses and just go? He's been
dreadful.
2 years on his contract. Can we get 30 million for him if we're lucky, or whatever?
We might get 20 or 30 million for him, but he looks shot. He's
not looking good at all.
No, and I'd get rid of Otamendi as well, but there you go.
Right, okay. So far with, let's say we get 30 million for Mendy. So far, your transfer kitty, Chris, is up to 200 million quid. Anyone else you want to get rid of?
No.
What about Cancelo?
You got to give the lad a chance.
Get rid of him. 60 million. What a waste of fucking money. Absolute garbage.
He didn't cost that much, though, did he?
Well, 22 million we got for Danilo, and so it cost us 38 million quid for fucking somebody who can't defend, can't cross the ball. Absolute waste of time. But anyway, let's say you've got 200 million in the kitty then. You've got 200 million kitty, and let's say I'm cheeky Begiristain, and I say, I tell you what, Pep, you're going to stay for another year. I tell you what, I'll give you another 200 million quid. Who do we buy in the summer?
Right, so
you got 400 million quid now, Chris. Don't waste it. Not on someone like Cancelo.
I'm going to get Ruben Diaz from Benfica, but I don't know if you've noticed, he's just signed a new contract with a 100 million buyout clause.
Can I just put in?
They all going to do that.
The reason they've put that Adam a new contract is so we can go for money, obviously, because he had like a month left.
Yeah, but they all do that, Cal. They will all do it in association with their own clubs. I mean, that's just bad. Because if they sign a contract, I said this about Raheem Sterling, why he don't sign his new contract. Just sign it, because a higher transfer fee gets him and his agent a bigger commission fee, and he still gets a bigger salary and things. It's pointless. So you've got Ruben Diaz in the summer, right? Okay, so how much do you reckon? So let's say we take his buyout clause, 100 million euro. So let's say 90 million quid. So you've got 310 million left to spend.
Well, he's my star sort of, centre back. I think I'd go either for Ake.
How much?
Well, it depends how Bournemouth get on. I think we could get him for about 45.
All right, so let's say 50 million. Let's be conservative. So 140 million. So do
you know who surprised me this season? Is Lewis Dunk at Brighton.
Yeah, well, everyone rates him. Everyone I speak to, every single person I speak to on podcasts and things. If you remember, I think, Cal, you were on with Yannick.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Yannick was going.
Yeah.
Lewis Dunk is the best centre-back in the Premier League. And he was absolutely adamant on his statistics.
He looks really comfortable on the ball as well. Really comfortable, you know.
But that's fine. Hold on a minute. You've already spent 130 million quid. So you've got 270 million left to spend now. So Mbappe is now walking off into the distance for your signings for the summer. So you've only got 270 million left. You've got Ake and you've got Diaz.
Yeah. So I reckon we'd have to get the Everton's left back. Dinier's a good player.
How much?
Well, he won't want to play for a championship side next year, will he? So
£1 billion. £1 billion.
No, honestly, here, Cal. How much? I mean, I'm asking this in an honest way. How much do you honestly think that Everton would let Digne go for in reality? And let's face it, by the summer, you know, I hate to say it, you could be relegated, but I don't think you will be. But yeah, I mean, let's face it. In reality, how much do you think?
Well, we bought him for 30. Well, we bought him for 22 million. Sorry, I think 70 mil plus.
70 million.
He's the best left back in the league.
I think he's brilliant. I do think he's a brilliant player.
I think it's him or Chilwell, and I think Chilwell would be much more expensive than.
Yeah, I do. No. I agree. So I think you've got a 20 million premium on top of that.
You don't want to talk about that cockwomble from the red shite. No one cares about him. Digne. Who do you think? The cockwomble from the red shite. You all know. He who shall not be named.
I don't.
Digne's the best left back.
Yeah, about Robertson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was a one-hit wonder. Right, okay. So let's say you've gone for Digne. Wow. Your spending has now gone up to, oh God, where were we at? You've had
200 million now.
So you're now 210 million quid.
Yeah.
210 million. So no, I said 160. So you've got about 160, 170 million quid left.
That's Mbappe.
You're never going to get Mbappe for 170 million.
No.
No chance. It's going to be 250 million plus.
He went for 150, so I doubt he'll go for anything. Mbappe went for 150, didn't he?
Yeah, he's never gonna. He's gonna be 250 million plus.
Probably more, a lot more than that.
It might be more, but I'm saying minimum 250.
You'll have to give them the stadium for Mbappe.
You've not done your figures here, have you, Chris?
Well, you're doing my figures for me.
You start off with Mbappe. I'll tell you what then, Chris, is a final question to you. If you had to take, all right, you've gone on Mbappe, Digne, Diaz, and Ake. If you had to take any of those four as a priority next summer, which one would you take?
Oh, that's between Diaz and Digne, mate.
So you're going defensive?
Well, that's our left back. Our left back position's been a problem for how long? And we need a centre back. We desperately need a centre back.
Sorry, you're gonna have to give me one. Which one, Chris?
Which one I want?
Yeah, which one is your priority? You give me four. You give me four very, very good players.
Centre back.
So you're going for Diaz?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, do you know it would be brilliant now? Because I think the season is over in terms of winning the title. And that might sound really defeatist, but you only have to look at Liverpool. I think I looked up yesterday, they've lost 7 of their last 100 Premier League games. And we've lost 10, which might sound kind of negligible.
I don't think it's 100. Is it 56?
No, it's 100. I looked at it yesterday. In 100 Premier League games, Liverpool lost 7 and we've lost 10.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 1. Right. I was going to say,
and no,
in the last 101 in 100?
But in the last, in the last 50, right, they've lost 1 and we've lost 7, right? Yeah. So I don't think they bottled it last year either. I just thought we were phenomenal towards the end of the season last year. You know, I don't think they're going to bottle it. And I think, you know, as much as that hurts to say, you know, I just don't think we're going to do it. So I'd like to see us now just say, right, let's give these kids a go. So let's see how good Garcia is. Let's see how good Phil Foden is. And this might save us money in the transfer window in the summer. And not have to go and get 2 centre-backs. Garcia, Harwood, Bellis might be good enough.
Yeah. Well, listen, before I go to Cal, just back to you, Chris, just for one last question on question 4. And that is, my thoughts are, and I've said it so many times on the live vlogs and things, I don't think we're just missing Vinny on the pitch. I think we're missing Vinny around the stadium, around the training pitch, around the changing rooms. And I just think we're missing that leadership that maybe Laporte in time will bring. I don't think Laporte will bring that now. And I know we see on the pitch Kevin De Bruyne and Fernandinho having a go at players, and it's a different type of leadership.
Yeah.
Do you think if we were to sign Diaz, anything would change next season with regards to the leadership around the club?
No, he's only 22, isn't he?
So this is where I'm trying to lead it down. Is that going to change anything? Because I personally think that the loss of Vinny is now being shown as to be potentially the biggest loss we've had this season, rather than Laporte and Sane.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I think Laporte is a massive miss, but I think our standards have dropped, and they might not be by a considerable amount, but enough to make us an easier team to play against. And there's some of that, when you hear that, in training, Vinny was still as committed as he was in a game situation. We don't know if there's players in training who are like that, but Vinny was there before the money came. He was a proper mank, wasn't he? And he was. There's nobody at the club, I think, in that, who invested himself into the city. I know that David's been there 10 years and Sergio's been there nearly that long now, but you wouldn't say they're,
leaders. They're not leaders. No.
But I don't think they're the same sort of.
No.
They're not invested into Manchester like Vinny and Zaba.
Like Zaba.
Yeah.
If you can imagine if Zaba was coming towards the end of his career now, after Vinny's left, if he was still at City, you could see a transition period there where Zaba would take on that role and go, right, you lot, fucking do this. Hey, what are you doing? Why are you late? Why are you doing this? Get on this. You just can't see anybody that's taken on that mantle.
No, the only person you think maybe could have been that person is Fernandinho, but obviously he's not that sort of person,
No. He is on the pitch.
Yeah.
He is on the pitch. You can see. I don't. Obviously, I'm saying that, but I don't know what he's like off the pitch. But you just can't imagine anybody is invested that much time into Manchester, the club as a whole, and things like that. But anyway, Cal, very quickly, on the outside looking in, you followed City. We've chatted loads. You've been on here loads on Man City Fan TV. Give me your quick thoughts, 2 minutes on who needs to go, where do we need to where do we need to replace, and who do you think? Let's imagine I'm going to give you 400 million quid like I gave Chris. Who do you think?
Well, you're going to probably, a lot of people going to disagree with a lot of picks I've put because I already built the side. And you right back. Because I think Walker, I'd sell Cancelo because I think he's awful. That was a big problem for him at Juventus. He went really a defender. He was more of an attacker because he played three at the back, and he was more of a right mid. And he suited that position more. He's more of an attacking player, and he's awful at defending. So I'd sell him for around 45 mil because you're not going to get what you paid for him. I'd sell. I wouldn't sell Aguero, but how old is Aguero now? 30. Well, I think he's 31, isn't he? Yeah, I'll bring in Timo Werner for striker.
Said it last summer.
Yeah, I'll start off with the attack. I'll keep the attack, the wingers the same. Sterling on the left, Bernardo on the right, with Werner up in striker. The three midfielders, Bruno Fernandes for David Silva's replacement. I think Bruno Fernandes will cost around 60 million, 70 million, but he's a phenomenal player. I think he just brings so much pace and just skill to the game, and his passing's just unbelievable. Obviously, De Bruyne and Rodri, you're not going to take them two out. Left back, I'm not letting you take Lucas Digne. You can, roll off. That's not happening.
No, we're taking him. We're taking him for 70 million.
Ben Chilwell.
Oh yeah, but Chilwell's going to cost us, I reckon, close to 100 million.
That's what I've wrote him down. I've wrote him down for 88 million.
88 million.
Which is a weird number, but I just it's a good number. Laporte, I don't think is going to leave. He's, in my opinion, the best centre back in the league when he's not injured. And the other centre back, I know you hate this decision, but Koulibaly, he's the best centre back in the world.
No chance.
Yep, and
rubbish.
Right back, did I say who I put in right back? Sorry, I didn't. Did I? I'd say let Cancelo go. Ricardo Pereira from Leicester. I think he's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been very, very good this season. Very good.
And on the bench, you can have Niasse for 120 million.
Yeah, in your dreams. But I mean, there's no chance. Let's face it. There's no chance, Leicester, if Brendan Rodgers stays there, that we're gonna take Chilwell and Pereira. There's no chance. He just won't allow it to happen. So
he let Maguire go.
Yeah, he did, but maybe he didn't like Maguire. Maybe he thought, like I did, Maguire was just massively overrated.
Yeah, but if you knock on that door, and you said you don't like, Mendy. If you put Mendy in that deal for, Chilwell, that you could lose a few.
No, I can't see it happening. I think Brendan Rodgers is too smart for that. But some very interesting.
What's your problem with Koulibaly? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. What's your agenda against Koulibaly?
No, it's not my agenda. My agenda is Koulibaly is a very good player, right? And here's my point. Everyone who goes on about Koulibaly, this is my point. He is going to be in the summer next season nearly 30 years of age. Okay, so we're going to end up having to pay 120 million euros to buy a player who is nearly 30. Now, if you look and people go, somebody posted and said, oh, look at his figures against Liverpool. Kiam said he's only conceded one goal in every time he's played against Liverpool. Look at how many times Napoli have conceded this season. This season. They've been absolutely garbage defensive-wise. Now, this is supposed to be a world-class centre-back, and he's playing in a shit league in Serie A and conceding loads of goals. So I don't care. Every dog has its day. Every broken clock will strike at the right time every single day. So just because Koulibaly plays a good game against Liverpool doesn't make me want to pay 120 million euros for somebody who's going to be nearly 30 years of age. I mean, it's not the Man City way. It's not Pep's system. It's not what Cheeky and Ferran Soriano. That's not their model. I know he could come in and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful season next season, but after that, there is absolutely no sell-on clause. There is nothing. Once you buy him, if he has a good season and he's shit for 3 years, there is nothing. That is 120 million euro for one season.
Yeah, but it won't be that much.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it won't be much less. There's no way.
Yeah, Napoli are sacking the whole team now.
It makes no difference. I'm telling you now, if Man City go in for him, it will be close to his back, and I think he's got 120 million euro buyout clause, and they might negotiate on that. So let's say that 90 or 100 million. Let's say they drop it by 20, 30 million euro. That's still breaking what the British transfer record for centre back. There's no way. There's no way that Cheeky and Ferran and Pep will go anywhere near that, and he'll probably demand £300,000-400,000 a week to do it. Now, he can easily go to Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever, Atletico, and get similar money. And City won't. I just don't see it. And I know he is a very technically gifted player, but it just does not fit our model right now. It doesn't. Yeah. When everyone else, like you guys are saying, Ruben Diaz, Skriniar, things like that. I don't think City will buy Skriniar either. But
he's gone to PSG,
I think it's so much money. But I'd rather spend that money on a 23, 24-year-old than somebody who's nearly 30. I mean, it just doesn't make.
But he's this season, a lot of problems.
But when we buy him next year.
Yeah, he'll be 29.
We'll be 29 and going into nearly 30. We're going into, that's not. We've done that with Zabaleta and Kolarov and Clichy and we've done that already. I just don't think that's where the City model is or the Pep model. I really don't.
I personally feel it's just the right signing for any team. I think he could come in and I think he'd order the defence. And you said what if he only has one good year. Personally, I think he's a player that could play to his 86.
Don't get me wrong. I think he can be absolutely brilliant. I just don't think it's the Man City model right now under the current sort of leadership of Cheeky, Ferran, and Pep. But that's my honest opinion. But anyway, that's the.
You sound undecided, Andy.
Sorry.
You sound a bit undecided on that.
No. I'm definitely. I've said it now for 12 months. I've said it for 12 months when people 12 months ago said about Koulibaly, and I just said he won't leave Napoli now, and we won't buy him because of his age. And I've said it. That's my point. I think he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great player, but I just don't. I think the model and the whole buying process has changed at Manchester City now.
I do 100% agree with you. It would be a real shock if they went for him.
If you said 50 million euro, oh my God, get him tomorrow. But I just don't think City are in that model anymore. I just think there is too much of a strategy now in place. Maybe that's contributing towards why we didn't buy in the summer when we should have bought, a replacement. I don't know. The only thing that worries me from that whole strategy is if we weren't going for Harry Maguire, that some City fans really rate him. I always thought he was okay. I wouldn't have paid 80 million quid for him or whatever. What concerns me is we had a brilliant right back in Danilo, who was very flexible, utility player, never let us down. He was always a 6, 7, 8 out of 10 most games. Why spend 60 million quid on Cancelo and give 22 million quid for Danilo to Juventus? I just didn't get it. I didn't get that signing when we needed a centre-back. I just did not get it.
Well, I agree. I agree with that. I just think Danilo wanted to leave, didn't he? Ultimately, I think he was obviously asking the questions of the board going, well, I'm up against Walker. Walker's your number one man. But let's face it, at the moment, Walker's played some of the games, Cancelo's played the odd games and things. So it's a shame because I think Danilo could have filled in at centre back, could have played left back. We've seen him at all of those positions and defensive midfield
and on the right. And I just think it was a complete and utter waste of money to buy Cancelo for City. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it whatsoever. Yeah. But anyway, that's question 4. We're going to be back with the final question. And this is the golden one. Okay, so finally we're back with question 5, and this is how we finish the podcast. And this is the golden question. So first off, this is Cal. And what he can do with the golden question, he can ask one question to Chris and one question to me. So over to you, Cal.
Okay, Chris, this is a bit of a weird question, but do you know if Liverpool do win the league and City, don't win anything, will you come out and, or, will you respect Liverpool and say, fair enough, or, will you think, well, they didn't deserve it? What's your opinions on Liverpool possibly winning the Premier League?
It's going to happen, mate. And I've listened to a lot of, City things, podcasts, forums, read a lot about Liverpool. And it doesn't matter which team you support, whoever your rivals are for, like Liverpool are our rivals to win the league, you will look for something to undermine why they've done it. Like when City win the league, it's because we've spent all this money, And when Liverpool now, they're getting all the decisions, At the end of the day, Liverpool have been very, very good for 2 years plus, and they're the best team in the league at the minute, and they're not as predictable as we are. We seem to have to score in a certain style. Liverpool seem to be able to score, like yesterday with Van Dijk, 2 good headers, but then they've still got, Mane's a great player. Yeah, Liverpool are a good team, and begrudging respect for them if and probably when they win the league.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Cal, you've got it to me.
Yep. Okay. This is a bit of a odd question, but if you don't win anything, but you don't get, let's say you might get top 4, but let's say you don't. Let's say it all goes wrong and you lose the next few games, and you're top 4 by Christmas. It goes to January, February, and you're still losing, winning. Will you stand and say, oh, I'm Pep in, or at the end of the season you're not top 4, you don't win anything? Will you be Pep out?
Will I be Pep out?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no chance.
Good.
Absolutely. Pep, I'll tell you what, and this is my honest opinion. We could finish 10th at the end of the season. It's never going to happen. We'll be easily in the top 4 because the gap is so big to 5th place. And if we won absolutely nothing this season, I would say it's a transition season.
I was just saying, just in case.
Oh, no. It's not about your question. I just think we have seen 2 years of the most unbelievable football I have ever seen in my lifetime watching football, never mind being a Man City fan. So if and I always thought this season was going to be tough because to win, like I said before, to win 3 back-to-back Premier League titles takes an awful lot out of the team, and that's why I have massive respect to what United did when they did it. 3 on the run. It is very difficult, and you listen to professional footballers who talk about it and say it is just so hard to do. And I think, even if I'm honest, even Pep probably, if you listen to a few of his pre-season interviews and the beginning first few games, his interviews, he was almost intimating that it was like he could see that it's going to be a tough season because it's so hard. So for me, Pep, give him till the end of his contract and give him another 5 years because, it might not be this season. Good luck to Liverpool. They've been consistent. They haven't played the best football. They've had a shed load of decisions go their way. But we just simply haven't been good enough for various reasons. And I don't buy into the Sane-Laporte argument. I just think too many players have not stood up this season. And for whatever reason that is, but I'm totally a Man City fan. I'm totally a Pep fan. And I don't care where we finish this season. Pep, for me, is the greatest manager the world has ever seen.
Jeez. Fair enough. Good answers, but to both of you.
Okay,
so Chris, over to you.
Okay, it's a bit obvious, really, but the last podcast you did with Yannick, Cal, you said you'd have Unai Emery as the manager. Would you still take him? And if not, who else do you feel could do the job you need there?
Good question.
I feel Unai Emery could take us, very, very far in the league. I think he's a great manager. I think his problem at Arsenal wasn't him, it was the board. That's no matter who they bring in. Pep could go there. He'd be in the same position. The board at Arsenal are awful. Yeah, that's the problem. I think if we didn't get Emery, I think Eddie Howe or, I'd use Anglo like this, but Arteta.
I think if Arteta went, Andy, fair play to him, I think he deserves a club. And I think he would do a good job at Everton. But I actually think Eddie Howe is the right man. That would be who I'd go for. He's done wonders at Bournemouth. And sometimes managers do fit clubs, don't they? We've seen when Charlton were doing well, you're probably too young to remember, but Alan Curbishley, sorry. And as soon as he left, Charlton just went, they suited each other. But Eddie Howe, I think he deserves a chance at a big club, and Everton certainly are a big club.
They are a big club. Great fan base. I love the fan base. I love going to Goodison Park. It's one of my most favourite grounds in the Premier League. But this is my... Oh, Chris, you've got a question to me. Sorry, before I ask mine. Because I was just thinking there, I've not even thought of my questions. But Chris, go on then. You've got a question to me, buddy. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say why you're so mean to Cancelo, but no, let's leave that.
Because he's shit.
Keep it PG.
What would you like to see at the stadium, Andy? What would you like to see improved at the stadium?
Oh, Jesus. Getting a pint quicker. Getting a pie quicker. And we're talking about inside the stadium. Honestly, I'm not kidding. It's the most frustrating fucking thing in the world. You can go... I mean, I don't normally. I'm always one of those that stay till the end. The odd time, depending on who's there at the ground to do podcasts and videos and crap like that, I might have to leave 5 minutes early to do it if there's only one on our own and things like that. But half-time, I try to go down to the concourse to get a pint if I can. At the moment, I'm not drinking because I'm on this juice diet and things like that. But generally, if I go to get a pint, it's like fucking 25, 30 in every single row. By the time you get to the front, it's like kicked off for 5 minutes. And then when you get there and you go, can I have a pint? And it's like, what do you want? And it's like, I'll have Strongbow, whatever. Just give me something. They take about 5 minutes to get it because they don't give a shit. They're not asked. They just don't care whatsoever about serving you quickly. They've got no interest in football. They've got no interest in serving the fans quickly. And I don't know who runs the corporate side of the, the beverage service side of Man City, but it is absolutely dire. It is just the worst experience going. And let's face it, a lot of, I can't guess, I don't know, 60% of people want, or 50%, let's say it's 50% of people want to go at half time or before the game even and go and have a pint or go and, get a pie or some chips or whatever it is that they want to get inside the stadium. I just think it's crap. The service is absolutely appalling. It really, really is. And I've tried buying counters and going at half time to go and queue up, so that you don't have to queue up in the main concourse. You can go to where they've got like 200 pints of beer and cider, and you still queue up. And it's like this one person on trying to serve 200 people, and everyone's screaming at this poor kid going, fucking hell, I've been here for 5 minutes. What the fucking hell you doing? Hey, oi, you. Next minute, some big beefcake comes in and goes, well, fucking way, give me my fucking pint. And scares him half shitless so that he gives him a pint, and he's only just walked in. And it's like, it's just shocking because considering everything we put on a match day experience, it is crap inside the game. The service is appalling.
Don't you think that... Sorry, Andy, go on.
Go on, no, go on.
I think if you've got hospitality, you get well looked after at City, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
If you're spending that big money, then you get proper looked after. But for those of us who haven't got that kind of money or don't want hospitality, we want that old experience of going to a football match. I totally agree.
I want, and this is my thing, Chris, and this is another point I wanted to ask back to you, is that we just recently opened this Ardwick bar, whereby you got a brilliant point, and I think it's great because they're utilising a space that they claim was just empty and whatever else, and created it into this wonderful, what they claim, a traditional bar and blah, 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 blah. Though I don't know whether that looks like any traditional pub I've ever been in, but from when I was younger. But I think it's a great idea. But they're charging, and I honestly don't know the full price. Somebody quoted 120 quid, and that gets you a seat. So the seats didn't look particularly fantastic for me, if I'm being honest, where they were. But that gains you access to this Ardwick pub, which you still have to pay for food and beer and everything else. So you're paying 120 quid to go into a bar where the only saving grace is you'll be served probably a lot quicker than you will be in the concourse. Everything else you have to pay for, and then you get a bit of a comfy seat and whatever else. I don't get it. I think what they should be doing is investing in making sure that the experience pre-match, and I'm talking about maybe 45 minutes before the game, half-time, and, all right, you can't get a pint post-match, but that pre-match stuff where people congregate, certainly where I mainly are in the South Stand, where the singing section, the hardcore fans and everything else are, invest in that, where the guys can go up and spend some money because they want to. Yeah. You just can't get bloody served. And it's just ridiculous that you've got a load of kids who, and no disrespect to them, because they have to earn a living and things like that, they're not bothered about how quick a fan who they're not probably United fans or don't even follow football. They're not asked about how quickly a fan gets served, not whatsoever. So I think that's one thing that is lacking massively at Manchester City, and it's been complained about for years upon years upon years, and nothing ever changes about it. So I doubt it ever will, because City matters have been inundated with complaints by City fans who've been going for decades, and nothing ever changes. The only other thing I will say, bring back the sausage at our time. Mike McLean, get him back, because fucking City Square is the most boring thing ever since it's gone. Bring back the sausage. That's what I'm saying. Get them back for a load of ridiculousness. Anyway, that's my rant. So, over to my question. Cal, I've had to think of this off the top of my head. So, Marco Silva is gone tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, let's say, because nothing's come through yet. Realistically, tomorrow, who, and I'm talking about, let's be realistic about this, who would you have in for the game against Liverpool, and where you're going to finish this season?
Duncan Ferguson, not just for Liverpool game, but till City, till New Year's Day, for one reason, because he's got that fight and that passion, Duncan Ferguson, and he'll tell them, you know.
What about Alan Stubbs?
Nope.
What about Andy Hinchcliffe?
Just a whole squad from years ago. Tim Cahill, nah, I'm joking. Jack Wadwell, nah, I'm joking. Definitely Duncan Ferguson, just because he's got that fight and that passion. He knows what it's like to play for the team. And
tell you what, those players would be shit fucking scared. That's for certain.
Duncan Ferguson for them, till City. And, we might lose all them games, but you know what? I'd rather, give someone who's close to the club that won't get any shit and can't get sacked than someone who's like, we bring in, like, say, an Eddie Howe or someone, and then they lose every game, and then they get sacked in, 4 weeks down the line, and then we've got to bring in big Sam Allardyce back. And then we're all crying because, we've got to play Brexit football. And back to that, so definitely Duncan Ferguson till New Year's, and then Eddie Howe or Unai Emery, and where I think we'll finish. If we don't sack Silva, then we're going down. But if we sack Silva and bring in a proper replacement, top 10.
Top 10? Wow.
10th or 11th.
Wow. So okay.
It's not unreasonable though. They're not
no, it isn't. No, they're not. No, they're 4 points off where 11th is in Crystal Palace at the moment. So
if you look where Tottenham were before Mourinho got, they've only been there 2 or 3 games, and he's lifted them right up.
Cal, I love Everton. I love Goodison Park. They're a team that, like a couple of other teams that are close to my heart, and I love going to Goodison Park. And I just want you guys to do so well, because tell me, lastly, very quickly, you've got 20 seconds and you can say whatever you like. You can swear, you can do whatever you want. So this is a graphic warning now. What if Liverpool win the Premier League?
I'm going to a fucking hole and staying there for the rest of my life until Man City come back and win the Premier League. I'm gonna stay in a hole for the rest of me time. I think I'm going to see the rest of 2020 when they win it in a fucking hole. I'm becoming a hamster for the rest of 2020.
Right, well, listen, Chris, your final question very briefly. You've got a minute. Pep Guardiola, does he stay until the end of his contract and signed another one? And if he doesn't, the end of his 2021 contract, who's the next manager?
Jesus. I think he's definitely going to see out his contract.
Okay.
I think he might even extend maybe for 2 more seasons after that. I think a lot of it will be, if we were able to manage to buy something like Mbappe, I think that would excite him to want to stay for a longer period of time. He's got a young side in the main. I think he'll want to have something to do with the success that they should bring. If he doesn't, who do you bring in to replace Pep Guardiola?
Okay, so that's the question then. Let's imagine Pep doesn't. Let's imagine what the biased media would love for Pep to leave in the summer next summer. If he was to leave or left at the end of 2021, let's just say, for argument's sake, the media biased journos get their way and hound him out in the summer. Who is City's next manager if it was to be next summer?
Really hard question. If it's not going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then somebody else of that sort of class. I don't know, Pochettino possibly, but I think he'll be somewhere else before Pep goes. I don't know. It's such a hard question. I'd have Mancini back, mate.
What?
Yeah, I'd have him back.
Really? Well, listen, there was a really good article this week by Martin Samuel. I posted it on Twitter, and he was talking about the fact that if Pep doesn't leave in the summer, it's not going to be the right time for Pochettino. And he was claiming that Pochettino would be the absolute perfect fit, but he doesn't think that Pep is going to leave in the summer. He's going to stay and possibly sign an extended contract, and he thinks we will miss out on Pochettino will miss out right now or in the next 12 months of coming to Manchester City as the manager. It was quite an interesting read, and the way he was trying to weigh everything up, sort of saying, if this was Pep's last season, Pochettino will be on a sabbatical now, right until the summer, and then he would definitely be the next manager at Man City. But Martin Samuel claimed Pep will stay, possibly sign an extended contract, which means Pochettino's not going to hang around for another year after this one. He's going to take another job, and he thinks that might make it more difficult for him to come in. So, you've got 30 seconds, like I did with Cal. What are you going to feel like if Liverpool win the league, Chris?
Well, I'm not. I'm old enough to remember when they've won it before, so it's not. And they won it. I will begrudgingly respect what they've done, mate. Klopp's done a good job, and to be fair, they've sold players like Coutinho and Suarez, and they've bought really well.
Yeah,
and if I could have any player off them, it would be Sadio Mane. I think he's a great player. Never gives in. I'll be disappointed because we've won it last 2 seasons, but really, if we don't win it, Liverpool are the next best thing in the league, so they deserve it, don't they? And I know they get a lot of luck, but there you go.
Can we complain about being Man City fans, Chris?
No, not at all.
Martin, not joking.
Cal,
not at all.
Cal.
Mm-hmm.
As an Evertonian, would you love what you've witnessed over the, let's say, the 7-8 years that we've seen at Manchester City? Would you like that at Everton?
Just a little bit.
I mean, go on.
You could throw. I don't care what anyone says. They can call you, your success is just down to money. I'd win an FA Cup or a League Cup if it means, I'd blow £1 billion if that means just one cup or, one top 4 finish. That's all I want. A goal or a win against Liverpool.
Well, listen, where you're at now is where me and Chris have been for decades, and
we would have felt exactly the same as you did 20 years ago, wouldn't we? You know,
kind of reversed since the 80s, haven't we? You know, in the 80s it was us winning everything, and now it's you winning everything, and we're, you know, trying to stay up.
And just on that, sorry, Andy, that thing on Pep as well is if he decides to go, right, he's never ever going to have that carte blanche, you know, what he's got at City, you know, nowhere he's, you know,
not with Cheeky and Ferran, no,
and I think that for him, same as us, who do we replace him? Where is he going to find a club that backs him like what City do? I think, you know, it's a big decision for him. It's whether he's happy or is he burnt out? Because he's so intense, isn't he? But you know, and you know, and before I go, like, just, you know, good luck to Everton. I don't want to see him go down.
No way.
You know, I know plenty of Scousers, and it's always the Everton fans who are, you know, the decent lot. So good luck to you, mate.
Well, listen, like I said, we're City through and through. And any City fan who, we see it on Twitter, we see the nonsense and we see the tweets about Pep out and, you know, the garbage. We're here, we're critiquing our team. We're entitled to do that because, you know, we're City fans, and everyone's entitled to critique a performance. But when you start turning around and saying Pep out and things like that, I mean, my lord, you need to give your head a massive fucking wobble.
I don't deserve an opinion.
It's pathetic. But we have to stay positive. You know, there's still a long way to go. There's still 24 games. Liverpool currently at the top of the table. We are third. But who knows what could happen. I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to Chris for coming on. We've been waiting for about, 4-6 weeks to get you back on, Chris, and it's great to get you back on, buddy.
Thank you, mate. It's been good to speak to you again, Andy, and to Cal. He's a good lad. And
if you don't, you might have just been recognising Chris's voice. He is on the 125th anniversary documentary. That's at the beginning of our Man City Fan TV YouTube channel. So that's Chris talking all about City in the, was it the 80s you did?
No, I did 70s.
You did 70s. Yeah. That's how old you are. You did the 70s. Even though I think I'm older than you. But anyway, Cal, as an Evertonian, it's always an absolute pleasure because you always talk a lot of sense, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
And it's brilliant to have you on. But anyway, I want to say a massive thank you to these two guys. I know it's been a long one. We were only supposed to be doing about 45 minutes. But as with these podcasts, you start talking and people want to have an opinion. But don't forget, if you want to come on the podcast, please send us an email. It's mcfcfantv@gmail.com. This is the Man City Fan TV podcast, episode 8. And this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. I'm with Carl Blundell. I'm also with Chris Baker. We'll be back for the next one, no doubt, in the next few days after the Burnley game on Tuesday night. But I want to say another massive thank you to these guys. Take care. Don't forget, subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when all the new videos are out on the channel. And we'll be around. Go and check out the videos from the weekend, which was the 2-2 draw against Newcastle. We'll be back live from Turf Moor when City take on Burnley on Tuesday evening. But take care. It's Andy from Man City Fan TV, and we'll see you soon.